Hey there, it's John Gustafson from John's Table Tennis Training. I just did a video yesterday, so you may, if you really keep up with this stuff, wonder why would I do a video 2 days in a row. The reason is it's pouring down rain outside. I have no coaching today. It's unusual. I usually coach 6 days a week, at least 1 or 2 lessons, but I've got none today. I know for those of you at work, you love a day with absolutely nothing to do, but anyway, this is my life. So I have absolutely no coaching today and a pretty open schedule until this evening. Doing the video from a slightly different place. I've got my Safe Sport certificate behind me. It's something USATT does. Background check, make sure you're trained with everything with Safe Sport. There it is. So I'm good for a while on that. So yeah, it's raining. Normally, if I didn't have any coaching, I'd find other ways to work on my game, work on physical fitness, running, riding a bicycle, long walks, something. But today, due to the rain, I really can't even do that. So today I'm doing something a little different. Hope it doesn't offend anybody in the table tennis world, but I'm doing a review of the table tennis equipment companies. And I've got several, and in almost every case there's something really good about them and maybe something not as good about them. And I've ordered from all of these companies and had experience with all of them. So if you were just starting to buy equipment, looking to get a racket, this might be helpful. This is primarily geared towards people in the United States. I do review one company from Estonia, but well, for instance, there's a company in Sweden, Japsko. I think they're pretty reliable, but probably going to have better results if you are in Europe than in the United States. I've ordered from a couple other places that I'm not listing because of the long shipping times from outside the United States. But if you're not in the United States, this information still may be helpful to you, depending on what you're looking for. One side note, I worked in the shipping business for most of my life until I retired from United Parcel Service. So I have a little bit of idea of what goes on to get your packages where you want them. And today, in fact, I ordered something, should be next day from coming from New York, from the Postal Service. Due to the fact it's pouring down rain and issues with the pandemic and slower mail times, I don't have a whole lot of faith that I'm getting it. That's not the fault of Table Tennis Store US, where I ordered it from. They're shipping it the same way they always did, but sometimes the shipping companies can let you down. And I may get it today. I haven't ruled it out, but last I checked, when I tracked my package, it was still somewhere White Plains, New York, I believe, but it might be somewhere between there and Atlanta right now. We'll see. Anyway, if you are looking to buy your first racket or some table tennis rubber, any kind of equipment, you have a lot of options, particularly in the United States. I'm going to start with the cheapest, Zero Pong. I've ordered a lot of stuff from Zero Pong over the years. Oddly enough, their best item for me has been their rubber protection sheets. In my opinion, they're better than the Nitaku. They're better than any of the other ones out there. They're just stickier, and they seem to last longer. They're also the cheapest. That seems like an odd recommendation, but Zero Pong does have some other really good things going for them, in that if you're on a budget, their selection is limited. It's all gambler equipment, but if you know what you're looking for, it's not that bad. It's not going to be of the same quality of the $100 rubber that you get. you just never know. The blades can be really, really good and really, really cheap. I mean, really cheap. I purchased some just paddles, pre-made paddles to have here for if somebody forgets their racket. They literally cost $15, which is strange because if I bought the blade and the rubber separately, it would have cost about $45. But for $15, you can get a fairly decent racket. But again, it's not one I would use, but if somebody just walks in and they forgot, we use them. They're not as bad as you would think for 15 bucks. It's you can spend up to $300 on a racket or more. But anyway, Zero Pong, definitely the cheapest, limited selection, but if you know what you're looking for, they've got some good items that sometimes it's just the easiest and cheapest to do. Particularly good for me in that they ship from South Carolina. I live in Georgia, usually here in 1 or 2 days easily. Next is Kohl's Table Tennis Equipment Company. Kohl's going to give you the most personalized experience buying, but again, he has some different brands. I believe the Air Table Tennis, but he will communicate with you. He'll customize a racket exactly the way you want it, put sponge on it. If you really like the personal touch, Kohl's is as good as any for that. But again, you're very limited as compared to some of the bigger table tennis companies, what you can get. You can't get anything from Butterfly. I don't believe you can get anything from Nitaku or any of those types of places. But he can put a good racket together for you if you know what you're looking for. Put sponge, customized sponge on top sheets. I used to order from Kohl frequently, sort of due to the lack of variety. I've gone some other directions, but other than occasionally get a mixed up order, he'll work with you and he'll do his best job he can for you. Next is Table Tennis Store US. That's the company where I'm waiting on my shipment from today. They ship out of New York, and they very professional. Talked to Ben up there. He's probably nearly as give you just about as personal a touch as Kohl, but they are a much bigger company, and you have a wide selection of possibilities coming from Table Tennis Store US. Probably would order from them exclusively, except occasionally they don't have exactly what I was looking for, and so I've gone some other directions at times and had good results from other companies as well. One of the things I would say about this is I'm not sponsored by any of these table tennis equipment companies. I'm certainly not sponsored by Butterfly or Nitaku, anything like that. So I don't, as I say, I don't have a dog in the fight. And so I want to be fair in my assessment of all this, but like I said, I'm not pushing any one of these companies because I've used them all and I've had good results most of the time from all of them. But some of them are better for depending on what you want. Okay, so we did Table Tennis Store US. Usually have good personalized service from them and prompt shipping. Megaspin, I don't know as much about, although I've never had a bad experience with them. One of the things I have noticed, and I learned from my last order that I did do from Megaspin, I just had come across exactly what I was looking for, ordered from there. When they shipped, it came out of New York, and I believe they are maybe in Minnesota. I have a feeling that several of these companies work together. If they don't have exactly what you want in stock, they will have it shipped from a different company and bill it through them. So some sort of partnership, or maybe informal partnership, I don't know that for sure. although I have had one person tell me when I was ordering from them that they didn't have it, but they could order it through a different company and it could come there. So there's some, I'd say, informal partnership between some of these companies, at least within the United States. So Megaspin is okay. Never really talked to anybody there. Decent selection. You could find what you want there. I have nothing bad to say about Megaspin, although probably have less experience with them than some of the others. All right, Paddle Palace. That's the big one in the United States. You've got wide selection. They do carry Butterfly now. Juick used to be their flagship company years ago, I think. And Nitaku is big from there, but they have pretty much all the table tennis equipment you could probably want. There are a few things that are not available that I have to go to other places. They ship out of Oregon on the West Coast, but haven't found their 2-day shipping to be any slower than coming from New York or even South Carolina. So Paddle Palace prices are comparable, maybe slightly more at times. They're the biggest. They will give you, if you want to talk to them, they can be very, they can give you that personalized service. So Paddle Palace is kind of, if in doubt, try there. They've probably got what you want. They're definitely not the cheapest. They don't, for the most part, they don't carry the cheaper brands, but you probably can find what you want. One thing I have noticed with them, some sheets of rubber, they don't carry in the thinner sizes, like if it generally comes in 1.5, 2.0 and max. Occasionally I have skipped over Paddle Palace because I'd use the defensive version of it, the 1.5, or even at one point in my playing days I used 1.0 and rarely could find that at Paddle Palace. But for most players you'll have no problem with them, and it's a good company for sure. They have one thing I will say about them, they made a mistake on one of my shipments and corrected it very quickly, resolved it. We came to an arrangement, and I was happy, they were happy, and they shipped out the correct shipment right away. So that always says to me a lot about a company. If we're all going to make mistakes, but if they do, they fix them right away, and I appreciate that. Okay, let's go to Butterfly Online. If you need Butterfly equipment, I guess no place better to go than Butterfly Online. They ship out of North Carolina. I'm not 100% sure because I don't order a lot of Butterfly equipment, but I think they ship FedEx, and you'll usually get your order promptly. They're very professional, and I suspect they do pretty good business. So if you are a Butterfly person and you've got other options other than going to Butterfly Online, but that's certainly an option. They're unlikely to be out of stock of the Tenergy and Dignix types rubber, that kind of stuff. If it's hard to find somewhere else, which it usually isn't, but if it was, I would think you'd be fine going to Butterfly Online. All right, the only company that I'm doing that's outside the United States is Table Tennis 11. And the reason I would do that is because I have had such a good experience with them. They have a wide variety of equipment. Most of the major companies, except they do not have Butterfly. They have Spinlord, which is kind of a fun rubber that's not very expensive, and if you're experimenting with long pips, short pips, or anti-spin, Spinlord is probably a good cheap option to do that. If you're buying from inside the United States, you might think, well, if I'm buying from Estonia, which is where they ship out of, how long is it going to take? And it's not going to take long at all. They ship DHL. I've frequently gotten stuff within 3 days from Estonia. You can track it. Very impressed with DHL, and that's coming from a former UPS employee. You can track it every step of the way. It gets here incredibly fast for as far as it's coming from. They will assemble your racket. They'll put lacquer on the blade lacquer to improve when you want to change the rubber out. And extremely professional. They'll do exactly what you ask. And I've never had any problems with Table Tennis 11, and that's the only reason I list them, and I don't really list any other companies outside the United States. I have ordered from some other places that have taken weeks, and with Table Tennis 11, it's almost always within a week. Add one more day if you're having to normal shipping. If they have to assemble it, that's sometimes the case, but they're good, and they are not more expensive than Paddle Palace, for instance. You do have to pay for the shipping. If you're on a budget, the shipping might be a factor for you, but as I recall, it's less than $20, and you can get get a really nice racket. I order Yasaka equipment from them, as well as from other places. So, all right, I've only got 2 possibilities of places that I don't recommend. Killer Spin, if you just Google table tennis equipment, Killer Spin is going to come up really quickly. I'm not exactly sure what the status of the Killer Spin company is. 10, 15 years ago, you'd see a lot of Killer Spin t-shirts. A few people were using some Killer Spin equipment. I think they've pretty much gone down to strictly recreational paddles, but anything you get is going to be from Killer Spin. And I don't really think it's going to be what most serious table tennis players are looking for, but if you know of an exception to that, let me know. They sort of fell off the map as far as I was concerned a few years ago, several years back. The other thing, a lot of players come in and they've got a racket in their first lesson, and I say, well, where'd you get your racket? And they said, well, I got it from Amazon. Amazon may be great for a lot of things. I'm not sure it's the best place to get your racket unless you know exactly what you want and you can find it there. I know they have free shipping options, and perhaps for some paddles that it might work out well, but you're better if you're looking for the perfect paddle, perfect racket for you, and you really don't know what to get. I would talk to a table tennis coach, read some reviews, go to some of these other companies and see what's available for probably not much more money than what you might spend at Amazon or even in a sporting goods store. You can get a quality racket. Most of the rackets that I recommend are usually in the $150 range, between $100 and $200. It depends on exactly what the person's looking for. More expensive is not always More expensive isn't always better, but you've got a lot of options for getting equipment, but it can be kind of mind-boggling if you've never done it before. But I've done more than my share of it, so if you have any questions about equipment, I'll be happy to try to answer them. If you send me an email at topspin2000@gmail.com, or even make a comment on the YouTube video. That's about it. I think we've done 20 minutes on equipment and places to buy equipment. Thanks a lot. This is John Gustafson for John's Table Tennis Training. Thanks.